everybody. Welcome to Customer Experience R&R with my good self, Richard Knight, and him over there.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. It's been a while since we last spoke. It's Rhian Huxtable. And looking forward, Rich, this week to be talking about, it is, of course, National Customer Service Week.
Of course it is. And we all knew that. It was in my diary. It was in everybody's diary. No, it wasn't really. Which is really interesting, all of these national weeks and days and stuff like that. It's like, all right, let's make up something new. But actually, from a customer service point of view, and also during this week, it was actually Customer Experience Day on Tuesday. So during Customer Service Week, there was a specific customer experience one. It's like, oh my Lord, what does that all mean? What does that all mean? What does it all mean to you, Mr. Huxtable?
Indeed, what does it mean? Well, I have to be honest, I'm not a big fan of these weeks because
that's put pay to our podcast then, hasn't it? Really well done.
let me expunge that.
Okay.
But a customer is not just for Customer Service Week. A customer is for life, is my broader point. And it's hard going at the minute. You know, we're coming out. However, that said, it is hard going at the moment. We're coming out of COVID, and I think if we have a week to focus people back on how they're looking after their clients and their customers, I think that's a positive thing, because people are clearly distracted. I don't know about you, Rich, but I think service levels are getting better, but it's taking a long time. And I think there's a couple of things that are making customer experience worse than it was, and we're going to share some of that actually in our white paper that we'll be talking to you about on the next podcast, when we talk about professional services and how they're looking after customers, with some actual data. But it's not just professional services. If you walk into a restaurant, or you go to a shop, or you go to an attraction, or you're just generally buying something, it doesn't feel at the moment as if you're getting the right level of experience that you should. And I think there's a number of factors in that. I think recruitment is difficult. I think, trying to get the right people with the right skill set is hard. You're watching this potentially on Friday, but we're recording this on Wednesday, when Boris got up and said that the UK economy is going to be high skilled and highly paid. So there's a real conversation going on with what could be deemed low skill work, which I don't agree with that term, but that's the term that's used in the customer service industry, that suggests that perhaps we do need to be paying people more money to deliver a great service. I know that's slightly controversial, but could he be right? Could the Bojo be right?
No, well, I couldn't possibly say. Obviously, we are a non-political podcast, so we are merely talking about customer experience. However, I mean, money is obviously one motivator when it comes down to people doing a great job. And we've spoken a number of times on this podcast about well-being and how your staff have got to be in the right place. Because if they are in the right place, they give better, higher levels of customer service and experience, all told. So absolutely something to do with it. But also there's got to be that desire, that need, that want to actually make a difference. There's other motivators we have around wanting to make a difference, to actually do something of value, to demonstrate to somebody that they bought something great, or they've had a great experience, and it makes us feel great as that person in that organization. So there's lots of things that go with it. So I think it's really difficult just to put one thing on. And if he is just talking, you got to pay people more money, we're in a dodgy area, if you ask me, because we've seen so much about the well-being piece over the pandemic. And actually they reckon there's going to be more issues now because we're coming through the COVID side of things, which interestingly reminds me, certain people think this COVID thing's done, but of course, there's the uncertainty going ahead of that. And they interviewed one of the attendees at the Conservative conference this morning on the radio, and he said, I'm interested to hear what Boris now says, now that COVID is done. And I just thought, oh, that's an interesting view. Our businesses, our people think it is done, therefore we can move on. And how much of an impact will that have on service levels? Because, fine, it's all done and dusted, crack on. You don't need to be worried about stuff. But, same goes for customers. You can't tell people how they should feel, The F word comes into it again. We've got to make sure we're very aware of them. So treating our team really well is a good thing. Paying them the right amount of money, of course, it's going to make a difference. However, there are multiple other things that go with that. And one of the things that I've sort of seen over the last few months around that, maybe a little bit of a drop in service levels, are the processes changing, because people have seen different opportunities, have had to change. We spoke about the P word, the pivot word, many, many times. And when you do that, you're obviously going to change some of your processes. And that can be seen in a lot of technology, different phoning mechanisms and all of those sort of things. And those really can make a big difference to the service level that people get. So there's lots and lots to keep thinking about out there.
I think the other thing that's quite interesting when you look at, you know, what is driving this perceived, not just perceived, I think it is worse level of client service, customer experience. So we've got the issue with lack of people. We've got the issue with processes changing. We've got the issue with motivation to be at work and the challenges still of, as you rightly pointed, COVID. But of course, the other dynamic that's playing out in all of this is the delivery issues that we see across the country. You know, we're just coming off the back now of you know, we know there wasn't a fuel shortage, but there's a shortage of drivers, which has made that challenging for many areas, particularly in the southeast. So it's almost like a perfect storm, isn't it? So, you know, when you do get to your destination, or when you do purchase a product and you can't get it because it's not physically available because it hasn't arrived, you know, that drives disappointment in the client experience, because you can't get what you set out to get. What's interesting though is I was listening to a commentator at the end of last week. He was saying, you know, we've seen our overall availability levels of product drop, but actually clients are trying and choosing alternatives which they may not have chosen. So their experience, whilst there's the disappointment, there's a new experience of trying a new product or service because the one that they normally buy is not available. So, you know, there's silver linings on all these sorts of clouds. But, you know, it does seem to me at the moment that consumers are having to deal with and tackle, you know, many different experiential problems that are not of their making, or indeed in some instances not the making of the business, because they can't get the products and the services that they would normally deliver. So, you know, if nothing else, in Customer Service Week, focusing back on what customers want. So there is, of course, the question we could pose that says, you know, are you worried, for example, as a consumer now, about the fact that you can't get 5 different types of tomatoes, you only get 2? Are people worried about that? Maybe not. Ask your customer. So the big point that I think, you know, we should be getting out of this podcast, and the advice as you know, as specialists we would be giving, or we are giving, is that, you know, whatever your circumstances are to the level of service you're giving, the key element of this is manage your clients and your customers' expectations. If they know that something's not as it would be normally, or they know that you are short of staff, or they know that there's a problem with availability, you know, be upfront, tell them, manage the expectation, and actually, you know, most fair-minded people will park it, they'll move on, and they'll make the best of what's available. I don't know. Do you think that's a fair point?
Yeah, absolutely. We're all reasonable people, aren't we? Really, it's around communication. We've said it a number of times, and I think that's perfectly reasonable to do. We just got to be a little bit braver, because, you know, you don't want to disappoint, do you? We don't want to disappoint people, so therefore you often say it's coming, we're going to get there, don't worry, it'll be in. But if you have an inkling that it isn't, then actually letting people know, and if it does come in earlier, God, great, they're more than happy. So we've got to think about that, haven't we? And I think the other thing that goes in it, in terms of the sort of the tips from us for this week, I think the other one is, you know, managing the way you do what you do at the moment. Do you need to drop certain areas of your business, reduce the numbers of interactions you have on one channel so that you can concentrate on another channel? If you've got a reduction, or you're having problems with numbers of team members you've got in during your day, are you going to reduce hours? Are you going to reduce the offering that you have, so that you can provide a better service for that one offering rather than the 5 you normally offer? And yes, it's not ideal from a business point of view, but actually, if you think about that retention of the customer, if you communicate like you've just said, you adjust as necessary, the customer is going to be happier and still stay around. If you continue to try and do what you've always done with reduced numbers of staff or with reduced product or supply, whatever it is, you know, then that may well create more issues, and therefore the customer may go, well, actually, do you know what, I'm off. So actually, from a retention and loyalty point of view, less is more at this particular point. I think something that may well resonate with some people listening today.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I also think, just on that point, before we wrap up, Rich, the, you know, National Customer Service, there's lots of stats, there's lots of data, lots of insight around that you can access from any point in terms of, you know, what you think or what people think consumers want. And broadly, that might be right. You know, that statistical data may well be right. But there, you know, there is no substitution for actually asking your customers what they want, you know, what their expectations are, what their, you know, what it is they are feeling about the interaction with your business. So, you know, if nothing else, National Customer Service Week should highlight, you know, the opportunity both to promote and retain customers, but you're not going to know that unless you ask them.
Yeah.
And you know, that doesn't have to be some expensive feedback system that you put into your CRM system that's, you know, all singing and dancing. For some clients, for some businesses, for their clients, that might be right. Absolutely, I'm definitely an advocate of that, of course, because we sell those things. But more broadly, there is nothing stopping, you know, the baker, the baker, the candlestick maker, and what the other one is. The grocer, what is it? The baker, the candlestick maker, and the what?
I can't think at the minute, but I'm just too busy laughing at your inability to remember yourself. So, go on. Anyway, yeah, what have they got to do? Just ask.
Just ask your customers. You know, how was it today? How did you find the experience? Did you get everything you needed? If not, can I provide you with an alternative? The butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. There it is.
Butcher. That's it. And it reminds me of it. Actually, alternatives, asking people reminds me of the same one, actually. I remember back in my day when I was on the deli counter and serving the great general public, and the lovely old lady used to come in every week for her, I can't remember what it was. It was certain type of ham from a particular county. I think it was something like Wiltshire ham, and we didn't have any. But I said, "Oh no, don't worry. We've got some Dorset ham here. It's just as lovely. It's just slightly further travelled pig." And she went, "Lovely. I'll have some of that." So it's just offering it as well, isn't it? It's having that understanding and that knowledge, and being able to say, "Look, yeah, it isn't in this week, but there's always something else that we can help you out with to give you a great experience. Stay with us, right? We love having you here, customers. Please do."
Yeah.
So we've waxed lyrical again, me lover.
We waxed, and we haven't mentioned cider. We've mentioned cider for a few.
No, we haven't.
The old.
Well, here I'll have you know that I did have a couple of glasses of the old cider down when I was down on Dartmoor a few weekends ago. Yes, I did. Yeah, in the middle of Bears Lake Inn. If anybody fancies a place to stay, talk of great customer service. What a fantastic team they've got down there. Lisa and her team down there, awesome. Really good, lovely thatched cottage inn just on the edge of Dartmoor. You walk out the back onto the moors, have a lovely time. Food was glorious, staff were fantastic. Couldn't help us out more.
I hope it was local cider, was it?
I can't remember. I drunk too much. And on that point,
I've had a dry September, so yeah, that's why I've not been talking about cider.
Oh, right. Well, I didn't realise you were into that sort of stuff, mate. I think we might have to end this podcast relationship. I'm slightly taken aback with that.
I did have a cider the weekend. After I ran my virtual London Marathon on Sunday, I did have a
You ran a virtual marathon. Oh, here it all comes out now. Right. Before we bore our listeners, let's stop. Cheers, everybody. Like, comment,
share, comment.
That stuff.
Butcher, baker, candlestick maker.
Have a happy weekend, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks, He's been Richard and I've been Ryan Huxtable.
See you again soon.